the best place you can be in this life is to put yourself or get yourself to this space where you can encourage yourself when you're going through stuff. I don't believe everybody has to go through what you have gone through. Some people think, oh, you have to let people go through the same thing, you know. Maybe you're trying to start a business right now because I suffered before I got here. Oh, go and suffer. I don't subscribe to that at all. When I came back to Nigeria, I was stranded. Yes, somebody helped me. Somebody put me in their house, and I was uncomfortable like you're uncomfortable
because
I'm not used to staying with people. If I'm trying to be friends with you, I notice you're dramatic in one kind of way, or you talk even negatively. Because I can tell
you don't like
when
that
conversation is negative, whether you're saying it towards me or saying it towards somebody. Nah, that's
you don't
not
condone
for me.
it.
And I'm very grown right now to cut you off.
In life, they say you meet people for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And these different people, they shape the way you see the world, and they help position your perspective on life in general. With me today is a friend, a brother, and my school father in secondary school. He doesn't like me to say that. I'm with Salisu. Salisu, how are you, brother? How's everything?
Very good. Salisu Abdulai.
Salisu Abdulai. Yeah. No, of course, like I said it's Salisu and I leave the rest to you.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you.
It's good to, you know, like we were saying before the cameras rolled, you know, it's been a long time coming.
Definitely.
It's been a long time coming. Yeah.
So, Salisu, do you know what, like, first of all, I would say there are not a lot of people that I've met like you, right? For some positive reasons and some negative reasons, but I'm just kidding. I'll talk about the positive things. It's like, honestly, I've not met a lot of people that know how to redefine themselves. And I don't think you really thought about it that much, but then I've seen a lot of evolution in your journey over the years. You know what I mean? I met you when I was like 10 or 11-ish. And like one of the first things I remember was like, even when you're not that much older than me, but you've always had a fatherly, bigger brother style approach to life. I don't know, like, has that always been the case for you? Or I've been curious about this. Like, is this something that was inborn, or was there a time that you realized that you care for people the way that you do?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like that you pointed that out.
No, because this is my own personal experience. Like, I've experienced that side. Like, from the first time you met me, you could tell that this guy was a clueless guy.
Not really, you know, because we're very young then. You know, we're very young. It's been a long time coming. I met you in secondary school. I was in JS2. You came in JS1. You know, but that's not when we became close. I think later in school. But talking about the fatherly part, that's a very interesting part. You know, because as a grown man right now, I've realized that that's a major part of most of the relationships I have. You know, there's just that very caring side, and I've not really sat down to think about as to the why, you know, but I just make sure the people that I take around me, I really show up for them. You know, I like impact. You know, I was thinking recently, what's the point of meeting people if there's not going to be impact? You know, and I don't make friends with everybody because you can't be there for everybody. But the few people I've taken into my circle, right from when I was small to a grown man right now, you know, I just make sure that there's that impact. I might not be there for you every day. I'm not the kind of guy that calls and whatnot, but the thing all my friends can say, when you call me, I pick up the phone. When you need me, I show up. You know, but I don't have a younger brother though, so I don't know. Maybe there's that thing where, if we have to be very honest here, you know, I don't have a very great relationship with my elder brother. You know about that one. You know, so there's that thing where I want to show up for people the way I could have loved him to show up for me. You know, so talking about, you know, like going down mental health, trauma, whatever. So maybe there's something there
about
as well.
It makes sense. Like, I could definitely see that, because I have some context about your relationship with your brother and everything. But then, and for me, what always struck me was, background story is like, when I was going to start my business, right? You're one of the first people I spoke to. Very unsure of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to go about it. And one of the first things he said to me was, guy, because you didn't even know what I was going to do. But then you just believe that, like, guy, if you want to try it, if you need a place to come to my office, right? And then out of nowhere, like, I started to resume your office every day. And sometimes it was inconvenient for you, I know.
Yep.
But you still stuck and you're still there for me. And I always wondered, like, and it's not like you wanted anything from me. Like, you just did it. But then at this one point that I felt like, was this relationship two-sided? Was it lopsided? Was I doing enough?
Was it one-sided?
Yeah. So because I didn't know how I could give back. I didn't have anything that I felt like I could give back, but you just constantly were there for me, and not just even me, right? Like, I met a couple of people that were working off your office space, and like, so how do you continue to give for people even when there's nothing in return for you? Do you burn out? Do you feel exhausted? Because that can be tough.
So it depends. So first of all, yeah, like showing up for people when they need you. You know, when you've gone through stuff.
Yeah.
I don't believe everybody has to go through what you have gone through. Some people think, oh, you have to let people go through the same thing, you know. Maybe you're trying to start a business right now because I suffered before I got here. Oh, go and suffer. I don't subscribe to that at all, you know. So if there's anything I'll try to do, whatever I could have wanted somebody to do for me at the time, if I have the capacity to do it, I will try my best to do it. And most of these things are very selfless. I know we live in a world where people think, oh, because you're doing stuff for someone, they expect you to do something back. You know, not everybody's like that, you know, and most things, stuff like that are not going to be permanent. So in my head, I know this is going to be temporary, you know, but at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I don't show up like that for everybody.
Of course.
You know, I show up like that for my people, and I'll trust my people in those instances to understand that, hey, this person is showing up for you, whatever way, then you do things in such a way that you make it convenient for the person as well. You know, there's just that wisdom when it comes to that. And you were never a burden, you know? Yeah, we just had a slight, slight one-off. You were feeling uncomfortable, you know, because you're actually a good person.
Right.
Because most times when people are doing stuff for people like that, if the other person is a selfish person, they will not care if they're inconveniencing this person, they will not care how this person feels or whatnot. They'll just be doing whatever they're doing, you know. But if you're somebody that really cares, you will think about the other person, you know. You want to even wake up because you understand that this is temporary. You have to pick up, you know. Yes, and in as much as you look at the incident that you know, that whatever happened then, I see life, anything that happens, I believe everything that happens to me, that's the way I see life, happens for a good reason. You know, it might not make sense at the time. When I say anything, I mean like even bad things, what the world sees as bad things. I don't see things as bad things anymore. And what I tell my people, when stuff happens that you think is a bad thing, give it time. This thing will make sense later. Eventually. When they say every disappointment is a blessing, it's not a joke, you know, because after that incident happened, see what you did for yourself, you know, because you got to a space where you had an office, I didn't have my office anymore. You know, so it's not like it was a bad thing that happened to me, but at least you pushed yourself and you went to manifest wherever you needed to manifest.
I think what the experience was for me at the time was, I felt like I needed to do more. And I think at first it was almost like, oh, maybe I'm inconveniencing you. But then for me, how the whole experience changed was like, Jakpo, maybe you've outgrown the help that this man is giving you, right? And I feel like, for me, I think it was more about a realization that it's almost like this help time is coming to an end. Don't get too comfortable, right? Don't get too comfortable in being in this space of receiving. Because it's something that, like, it's so easy for us as human beings to just, because something's available to you, and just take. It's very African, it's very Nigerian, because we're so comfortable outsourcing things that we can do for ourselves. So for me, is in as much as you did not make me feel uncomfortable in any way, but then I felt uncomfortable thinking that, like, see, this guy is giving me enough foundation to build from here, right? And I'll be doing him and myself a disservice if I continue to just take. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, honestly, like, I've never really said thank you to you, but like, it was a great experience for me as well.
You're welcome.
But like, Salisu, one of the things that I find really interesting about you is you're very multidimensional. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've done, since I've met you, if you don't know, Salisu used to be a supermodel. You know what I mean? It was like super. like you were. I remember when we're in the UK together, you went into modeling.
Yes.
Right. So like, talk me through that experience, because like for me, it's like you always had a tendency, right, to go into that space, but then we hadn't kept in touch. And then in the UK, I think I started to see on Facebook, I was like, guy, don't be Salisu be this. I can't remember. I reached out to somebody and I was like, Salisu Day UK, and then we connected. So I don't know where that sprung up from.
Yes.
So like, how did you get into?
You know, when I was in uni or secondary school, you know, when you're skinny, lanky and tall, people would be like, you should be a model, you should be a model. So there was that thing put in my head.
Okay.
But when I was in uni then, you know, they had like the models in my school when they were doing those cultural nights or whatever.
You went to BIU?
Yes, I went to Benson outside university, you know. So they would have the other guys that were popular in school that would come and model, and the girls. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, yeah, you know. So I remember when I was in law school. So before law school, when I was 7, I was in my NYC and NMPC there. So we saw a casting on Facebook. So I dragged all my friends, you know, the short ones, the tall ones, the fat ones, the whatever ones.
They always
I ran to one venue here in Abuja here, you know. Then I was the only one picked for the show. It was an icon show they did at Sheraton, you know. So that's the first modeling stuff I ever did. It was nice, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's potential here or whatnot. So when I was doing my law school, we had gone for holiday, Christmas holiday in London, you know. Then I used to look at models on Facebook and whatnot. Then I told myself in my head, I knew I was going to go for my master's after law school. I said, when I go for my master's, I'm going to try to make this thing happen. I was already getting older though, because right now if you want to start modeling, you have to start at 18, 16, 17, you know. So when I finished my law school, I think the next month I went for my master's. In December, I had done my first show in London, you know, and that's how we moved. British Vogue, Elle, GQ, 2 awards, you know. I won 2 awards in London as well for modeling, which is crazy. But like you said though, I've moved in different ways. I just believe that once you put your mind to something, you can make it happen, you know. Like, I did modeling in London, I worked in Harrods, I worked in the retail, and these things were not stressful. They were just things I had in my mind. I'm like, I would like to do this thing. Even doing the modeling though, like I did, the first show I said I did, it was in a club. It wasn't like big. In my mind, I'm like, I want to do fashion week. You know, I want to walk on a proper runway. I had it in my head. I wanted it. I demanded it. And they came to life.
Wow, that's so interesting. But then,
and even went to SA as well. Let me not cut out the South Africa one.
You went to SA. You went global. Then, but then,
SA.
what did you study in? What did you go study in school?
Law. I'm a lawyer. Yeah. Lawyer. So I'd gone to do my master's in law, international commercial law.
But then we moved back to Nigeria.
Yes.
You get into, because when we moved back, you know what I mean, I realized that you were working in PR, media, you know what I mean? And so another thing that really strikes me about you is like your ability to create things. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have a way of getting people to buy into a vision, and people will work and build with you. And I don't think you've ever thought about it that way, but then in hindsight, I'm sure you get what I'm saying. It's like people would follow you without having full context, but they would trust the fact that because of how you approach life, you wouldn't lead them astray. Right. So I came back to Nigeria. I remember you told me to come to your office, and I was just like, wow, these media things, I was seeing that. Like, what was that about? How did you get into that?
Yeah. So first, coming back to Nigeria was not easy. So I'm saying that to say where you talked about the help. I came back to Nigeria, I was stranded. Yes. Somebody helped me. Somebody put me in their house, and I was uncomfortable like you're uncomfortable.
Because
I'm not used to staying with people. I was not comfortable in that house. My plan was that, I get here, maybe sort myself out in the next couple of weeks and I'll be good. But that week's turned to 3 months, you know, and I was very uncomfortable. Not because it were making me uncomfortable, but I like to work, you know, I want to do stuff for yourself. I need to get up and do stuff. I can't be sitting down in this people's house for so long, you know, guys. I remember I was talking to somebody then, you know, one of my former mentors or a boss then, you know, I remember that night I sent him a text message. I'm like, Oga, I'm tired of staying in these people's house. Even if you need me to do errands for you every day, I just need to leave here every day. The next, I think I slept, I woke up by 11. that night, that early sleep. I woke up by 11 and he messaged me to meet him at the towers the next morning. That's how I got into media.
That's how you got into media.
Yes.
So that restlessness of not wanting to stay.
Yes.
You put forth that message and the rest is history.
Yes. You have to keep pushing and don't stay comfortable. Nobody has to make you feel uncomfortable before you become uncomfortable.
You have to.
You should never sit down in one restful place and just be comfortable.
Right.
You should always want more. It's what I believe in.
That's crazy, man. So then you got into media and everything, and then after media, what did you then?
Yes, I was doing media. Media had its ups and downs. I got arrested in one.
Why? Because of your mouth.
So when I got into media, it's not something I really wanted. Like I'm a lawyer, so when an opportunity came, I said I was looking for a job, so maybe what the man had for me then was media, but the fact that he trusted me, like you said as well, though, I don't still understand how that man trusted me to start up that media house, because I didn't join a media house. We created
you created
house,
it,
and it made me head it. But at the time, because I didn't understand anything going on with Nigerian politics then, I appointed what's the word now? So
you got
yes.
Did you outsource it or you employed somebody?
Yes, I employed. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so I employed
once you don't have political space.
Yeah, appointed. Yeah, that's crazy. So I got an editor-in-chief, so he was running the real business. I was doing the administrative running of the place. So in 2017, we had put up a news for my IG then and whatnot. So the headline, the IG didn't like it. It was very crazy.
Yeah.
They got us arrested. Yes. So after they got us arrested, it was a big slap on my face because I'm a lawyer and I run this media house. A simple allegedly on this headline could have saved all this. At that point in time, when we're dealing with that case, because the case lasted for 3 years, then I took over as editor-in-chief.
So you decided that you wanted to use your own...
for me to get up. Because it was a big slap on my face.
Because for you to be there and this to happen,
exactly,
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I took that as I'm like, okay, so that made me square up. So I think it's really in 2017 I got into the media space
as
an editor-in-chief.
And what was your business called? Page?
Yeah. So it was Post Nigeria at the time.
Okay, Post Nigeria then.
Yeah, Post Nigeria at the time. We lost Post Nigeria in 2020, long story. Then we started Page 36.
Page 36,
yes. So that's when I got into. So I made sure every news that came in, I read through. I did the headlines by myself. Everything went through me.
You're not taking any chances.
Exactly, which was good because everything happens for a good reason, like I said at the end of the day. So something that looked bad, still ended up being good, So taking charge, that never repeated itself again, So I ran the media house. It was a political newspaper. You know politics in Nigeria. It got to a point where I got tired, man. I did my bit and I'm like, okay, Nigerians, I can save you people.
You gotta save yourself first.
Yes, the job was stressing me and I think I got burnt out. Because I had to talk to my former editor-in-chief then, he had stopped working with us. He became a special advisor to one of the governors. So I sat him down, I'm like, this is how I'm feeling. I said, I'm not enjoying my work anymore. So he was like, Sal, I think you're burnt out. So after thinking about it in 2023, I decided to go back to law. The toughest decision, but one of the best decisions, to be honest. It was really very tough because I woke up every day and I did news.
Yes, I remember.
I would go for people's weddings and their birthdays. I need to edit the titles.
Yes, I remember we started this conversation.
So that was very difficult to stop, but it made sense at the end of the day.
It made sense. I remember, I remember one time when you had when I was at your office and you had some, because you were getting some ad placements and stuff like that, and then you lost some money. And you're like, well, if I tell you how much, do you know what I mean? So, do you know, one of the things that really strikes me about you is people don't know, but you've been through a lot. Do you know what I mean? And how you're able to keep on going regardless of the things that you're going through is something I think about it randomly. Do you know what I mean? I think about it randomly. You've experienced your own fair share of loss and pain, and how are you able to do this? How are you able to, I don't get it, honestly.
Yes.
I don't get it.
So there's one song, going from Muslim to Christian, so there were songs I was hearing as an adult, and one of these songs that I think changed my life is Encourage Yourself. Yes. Because dealing with people most times people go through stuff, they start looking for people to talk to. Nobody can understand whatever you're saying, no matter how they try. You're lucky if you find somebody that will listen and really care and really understand. The best place you can be in this life is to put yourself or get yourself to this space where you can encourage yourself when you're going through stuff. That's something I think I've developed.
Yeah,
I don't think it's easy. I don't expect everybody to be able to get to that space, So that's why I can still listen to people, because if I see it as something easy, when you come to me and you're dealing with stuff, I'll tell you to go and sort that thing out.
So you know it's
I
not
still
easy.
Listen. I know it's not easy.
But you know it's possible.
Like, it's possible because I live in it. It's not easy when you go through stuff. And most of this stuff, people never know when I'm going through anything.
That's the thing.
That's the truth of the matter.
I remember one time I came to your house, and we're like, when you just moved, and we're talking, and you were telling me about what you were dealing with, someone you were just about to start work with. And I was hailing you about, guy, like, this is great work. When you now say, guy, do you know what is happening? I was like, Salisu, how?
Yes.
Like, how are you, like, and then at that moment, you were still there for people, and you said, these people don't even know what I'm going through.
Because most times I think that people don't care.
But then why do you still do? So you're not doing it because of anything they can give you?
And that's why people misconstrue it sometimes. People just think maybe whatever, I think when you're a kind person, you're a kind person. But you see, what I've learned over the years is to know my limits sometimes.
Okay, I think that's a tough one.
Abused, or sometimes it might hurt you. So learning how to pick and choose is very important. But learning how to encourage yourself is not easy, to be honest. And many times I've stayed in the room and cried. I was going through
people
stuff.
don't see those.
Because I tell people sometimes, man, I've lost a lot of money a lot of times when I've gone to like ground zero. Like you have a lot and go and do one crazy investment, and go to ground zero. This has repeated itself several times.
That's the thing. How do you? I know some of them.
Yes, I'm not even joking at all. But the fact that I could see down there, you don't know how it will happen, but you know that you get over this. Yeah. It's easy to say, like, when you're out of it.
Yeah, but when you're in it,
dealing with it at that point in time, even me, sometimes I would doubt that this will end. But you still have to believe that it will end. You have to find somewhere in that grieving to believe that this is going to end. There's something that say when your back hits the ground, just make sure you don't stay there. Yeah. You can be there. It's okay for you to hit the ground,
but don't get comfortable.
Do not remain there. It's always very important. So why you cry when you've had these losses or disappointments or failed investments or whatnot, you still have to find the strength to pick yourself up and move. Because I remember when we had our accident in 2017.
That's what I was gonna...
when we had the accident, then something crazy happened because the car was like upside down on the road there. And I realized that my friend that was driving survived. I had survived as well. One funny thing we always say, so when we realized that we were alive, because my laptop bag was in the car, so while they were trying to rescue us with our hands and whatever, please, my laptop, the phone, because we're not there. Life is going to continue.
So we'll need those things. This guy.
Laptop, phone, bring.
Because once I'm conscious, I will need this guy.
That's true, though, because life is not over. You have to keep moving. You can't stay there. People will even move. People will move and leave you. People can, even when you lose somebody, some people get frustrated sometimes when you lose a loved one. And people come maybe the first day and the second day and they go. Like, life has to go on.
So you can't feel...
You have to figure out how to make your own life go on as well. And you cannot really fault them still as well. Because life has to go on.
Yeah. No, but then it's like... it sounds like you have a lot of mental and emotional strength, right? Like... how you, like, honestly, that's the thing. One of the things that I've learned about you is, even sometimes when you're down and I hit you up to try and encourage you, now you go come there. You now be the one encouraging me, telling me, guy, and everything is like. And one time I was asking myself, is this a gimmick? Like, are you really this? Like, obviously, like, you can't always be happy. Right? But then it's like, is this real? Honestly, like, I've thought about it, or is this just a front that, sorry to put you on the spotlight, but then I'm curious about it because I admire it so much, right? And I feel like a lot of people can learn from it. how do you do that? Like you've experienced loss in a way. And I remember there was a case that you're dealing with, and you said something to me about forgiveness. Like, how are you able to forgive people that hurt you?
Forgiveness, one you're thinking about right now, I don't know whether it's the same one I'm thinking about right now.
Well, like, just in general, like...
Yes, but in general, though, like, you have to live a happy life. I'm not always happy. But when I'm around people, I'm always happy,
So are you really happy, or you're trying to be happy for them?
Like, I'm not actually trying to be happy for them, though. Because one thing I'm very intentional about are the friendships that I make, the relationships that I have. I don't roll with people that I know I don't like your energy. I feed off people's energy.
Yeah, of course.
So there's no how I will be around people with great energy. At that point in time, you make me forget whatever I'm dealing with. I'm feeding off your energy.
So that's part of what it is for you.
Yes. So the energy around me is very important. I'm very, very intentional about the energy around me, especially at this stage of my life. If I'm trying to be friends with you, I notice you're dramatic in one kind of way, or you talk even negatively. Because I can tell
you don't like
when
that
conversation is negative, whether you're saying it towards me or saying it towards somebody. Nah, that's not condone it. And I'm very grown right now to cut you off. I'm not apologetic at all. So you just, so that's gone there. I'm not doing a blog, but you will notice that. Those are not the people that you see around me. You come to my space, even if we're just celebrating at those times, though. But you see, I'm just feeding off that energy, seeing people happy around me. I don't know.
No, but to be honest, it's a thing. It's like me and like my wife, we always talk about like every time she's coming, it's like, hope Salisu is doing a party, hope Salisu is doing this. And it's because it's like, it's almost this feeling that anybody that walks into your home, right, is they kind of leave whatever bad energy, whatever. Nobody would come into your house and be forming. It's like everybody that almost walk in and meet in your house, my predisposition to them is positive because I kind of know that Salisu has done the filter for me. Right,
that's very right.
No, it's true because I feel like when I would walk into your house not feeling any type of way, looking forward to the encounter, looking forward to the conversations. Even if I'm not involved with the games, I know if I have a conversation with someone one-on-one on the side, it will be great because you've already filtered like the space.
That positive vibes. Like I said earlier, it still goes back to impact. I feel like the time that we have to spend together, we should make it worth the while. Because we don't know how long we're going to be here. You want to make sure that when you exit this earth, people think about you and think about fond memories. I don't want to be that guy that anybody is thinking about and thinking about one crazy where we're arguing. I don't have any business arguing with anybody. We can have a healthy debate, but what are we arguing about when we can be having a great time, when we can be laughing? Laughter feeds the soul.
But you like to laugh, Sha.
We have to laugh. No, we be sad.
No, of course, no.
I not be. I just try to be I'm not the best human being, but you try. We can only just try.
I remember when I used to disturb you about like communicating about yourself because it's like one of the things that I know about you is like you definitely like your actions to speak louder. Do you know what I mean? And from a professional standpoint, I
very confrontational.
Yes,
that's
of course.
What I was dealing with.
Yeah, well, apart from confrontational, is like even in terms of like the work that you do, right? And I'll reach out to you like Salisu. I remember when I'll call you, I was just like, guy, put yourself out there. And like I'm seeing people that are working in your space. They don't have the substance that you have. They don't have the mindset that you have. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, why are you not, do you know what I mean? But then the funny thing as well is like, regardless of how you go about it, it still works out for you.
Yes. I remember when I was modeling in the UK, so models used to think for you to get gigs, you need to go for all these modeling networking parties and that. And I never used to subscribe to it. I'm like, I don't need to, why do I need to be there or act one certain way for me to get my jobs, And I stuck to being me. And it worked for me. Everything I did saw from the books and the book from the agency. Like, I didn't have to start doing one thing. Because I understood where you were coming from, especially me being a media guy then, But what I was trying to do then, because we had newspapers like Sahara Reporters where, you
didn't want
to, so I didn't want, when we put out the news, don't think about me. Don't think this is my opinion or this is whatever. But that could backfire, or that backfired in such a way where this could have been good to market the business.
Yes,
where you put your face out there and people can relate to something.
Relatability.
So getting that balance was very difficult. But I understood where you were coming from, and I still tried. At least you were seeing me on the radio.
No, of course. Yeah. So when you started to do this stuff on the radio, I was like, this is great because obviously, like, you have very strong views and you're very articulate about your views. You know what I mean? You have a very interesting way of seeing the world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That for a fact. But then it's like, how do you stay motivated? Like, with all your varying views and varying things, how do you stay motivated?
I think people like you make me motivated. You talk about the fact that I inspire you, but you inspire me a lot. I see a lot of my successful friends, they inspire me, especially those that are really breaking bounds.
Right.
You do a lot of stuff that I know I can't do. The way you put yourself out there is something I could have loved to do, but I've noticed that that's not my thing. So I stay in my lane. I admire stuff like that about you, So looking at the successful people around me, dreaming big, my dreams motivate me, because I've learned to like dream big right now because I'm on this dominant thought thing right now.
You want to dominate whatever you're working on.
Exactly. Make sure your dominant thoughts are positive thoughts. They are exciting thoughts, successful thoughts of what you want in your life. I keep my focus on those thoughts. Even though you don't know how they will happen, that's not your business.
That's not your business. Your own is to...
my own is to focus on this is what I want to happen for me. So I just try to encourage and motivate myself, but seeing successful people around you keeps me very motivated, especially people that I know I can relate to, people that I've known from afar that we're close. So these are not far or distant successes. So it makes me believe that thing I want to happen will happen.
But to be honest, I like what you said because it's so easy for people to feel threatened by other people's success. Do you know what I mean? And also for me, it's like part of why I always used to ginger you to go out there is because like I was already inspired by what it is that you were doing, and I felt like the world needed to see more of this, right? And to be honest, the way I live my life is I feel like I have a mandate to amplify things, right?
Yes.
That's part of what this perspective is about. It's not even just about me. I've had so many amazing conversations with people that have just sparked.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And to me, that's my greatest source of learning. Conversations with people, right? I read, I study, but then most of my lifelong lessons are from conversations. Sometimes the most random ones ever. So I'm of the same school of thought with you, where I draw inspiration from people's success, right? And I remember one time there was a space that I was in that I started to feel threatened by people's success, and I realized that there was something broken in me. There was this imposter syndrome that I was seeing, that anybody that was able to finally identify themselves felt threatening to me. And then now I start to realize it's like the way that I check myself and how I'm feeling is how I am towards other people's success. That is something that we underestimate the power of, or the importance of, that internal compass. Like the way you relate to people's success around you tells a lot about how you're feeling about yourself.
Yes.
Right. So
and what I tell my friends sometimes, all of us don't have to have $1 billion naira. I want all of us to be successful. You could have 50, I have 100, this one has 200, as long as we're doing well. But it's very important to me, or important for me, that the people around me are doing well. I like seeing people doing it well. Seeing you move from my office, then having your own space that time, or whatever you guys even did for Jam Rock and whatnot, doing these huge things, seeing you in huge meeting rooms and whatnot. I liked it. I used to be so happy for you, watching from afar, you're doing this. I look at my other guy, this one is doing this or doing that. Instead of staying there and feeling sad or feeling bad, because you can even be doing great, and you're looking at other people and you're feeling bad. Why are you feeling bad? So that's something that, if you feel like that, you need to address. We should be happy for the people around us, intentionally happy. Yes.
No, I like that, because for me, I feel like it's something that is a Nigerian problem too, right? I feel like we have a very deep ingrained poverty mentality where we feel like it's never enough. So the fear is that like someone having is an implication that I would not have. So because of that, we're just constantly threatened by people. We're just constantly fighting unnecessarily. Like, oh, this tribe feels like, oh, if this tribe has, that means. So for me, it's very important that as human beings that we start to not worry too much about things in that capacity because there's more than enough to go around. And like when you lived in the West, you understand that like they live from a place of abundant mentality. Like they don't understand the concept of lack in some areas. But in Nigeria, we're very ingrained in the lack mentality.
Like you said, it's a mentality thing. So you must check that mentality. One thing I always do, I'm very self-aware. I think most people know. Very self-aware. You must know everything you're doing. Every action you're taking, you must think about your actions, make your actions make sense to you. I think if you're just living life and not really thinking about that, you might be making some mistakes that you might not even be aware of. So I try to be self-aware, even having a conversation sometimes or talking to somebody sometimes, I check, I'm like, was I rude to that person, Yeah, because that happened one time. I was on the phone call with one of my guys, I didn't know what we were talking about, but after the phone call, I'm like, hey, I think I sounded very rude to this person, and I called them back and I'm like, hey, I think I sounded rude to you or whatever. And they admitted and said, hey, like I actually felt bad. The way
you've done that to me.
Spoke to me on the phone or whatnot, that. And I'm like, thank God I actually
that you
thought
caught
about
it.
And I called, because we're not perfect, but you must be aware about what you are doing. That self-awareness, I feel is very important.
No, it's very important. And to be honest, like I like what you said because it's so crazy how sometimes like the way we speak to people, right, shape the way that they go about life, right? Like I remember an incident I had with a girl that I liked when I was younger, right? And there's something she said to me that just made me for a long time not believe that I was ever gonna find love, right? And I had this excuse, and I would tell people that like, man, me, I don't believe in love, right? But I don't believe, like, it wasn't that I didn't believe in love. It's just that based on something that someone said to me when I was 16, 17, I didn't believe I deserved love. So and I remember like I was seeing someone and she broke up with me and she said to me, and that was such an eye-opening experience, which also shaped the way that I went into the relationship with my wife now, is she said, Jakpo, you know how to give love, but you don't know how to receive it. And you know what you do by not being able to receive love is like you're depriving this other person of love expression. That means you don't love this person if you're uncomfortable receiving love. And I was just like, oh my God. Do you understand? So it kind of shaped the way that I go about like receiving, because sometimes you think like, oh, and even the approach with the kindness that you gave me, right? In as much as I was uncomfortable, I realized that it was something that you were doing with your eyes wide open. You knew what you were doing. You decided to be there for me. I have no right to undermine that by trying to think for you. And I think that's something that we do a lot in our relationships, is trying to think for the other person.
Exactly.
And it's something that I've learned. And that's why I ask questions. That's how I ask
it's
you.
It's good to ask questions.
Because
so that has a good side and a bad side.
Of course.
Once you can balance it,
of course.
so the uncomfortability side is positive, but thinking for the other person and probably thinking negative is not true. Great.
So what I like, you can be thoughtful, right? In terms of, okay, how can I make this person's life better, or what this person needs, this can I step in? That's part of what love is. But then in terms of trying to decipher what people mean without putting into context, I think that is very, very, very dangerous as well. And like also this is something that like I've had with Stephanie as well, is like we were having a fight and an argument, and at some point I just realized that like it was just an issue on perspective. Like we're both, like where she was sitting and what she was seeing was very valid. Where I was sitting and what I was seeing was very valid, and that is okay. So like, how can we get to a point where we agree to disagree? And that's another thing that I learned working in the office with you, right? Sharing the space is, I realized like, because before that point is like, I always felt like, oh, if someone was giving me something or doing anything, I had to wholeheartedly agree. I had to always succumb. I had to be like almost like a yes man. But then you allowed me be me. It's like Jakpo, I'm not telling you to shrink because I'm giving you office space.
Yes, it's very important.
Yes, I'm not telling you to try and suck up to me because I'm giving you office space. I've decided to give you an office space because I believe that you have potential. And to be honest, that was such a liberating experience for me, and it taught me a lot about being able to receive help, because I struggled with that. Before I even had that conversation with you, I was so frustrated. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even know who to speak to. I don't even know why. Like, and I didn't even tell you to give me an office space. I was just talking to you.
Yes.
I remember I was just telling you that, bro, I've left my office. I've come back. I want to start a business. It's just giving you details. In my wildest dream, I didn't think you tell me, oh, come. And at first when you said come, I was so skeptical. Right? Honestly, because I'm thinking,
You're almost like me.
Yeah, I was just like, Salisu, no, I wasn't telling you to seek help from you. I was just telling you because I needed this thing. But to be honest, like it's been an amazing experience talking to you. Just so you've had a very interesting experience with life, religion, and everything. You say you were born Muslim?
Yes.
And then
born Muslim, became Christian.
Went to an Abbas. Did you want to be a priest as well?
Nope. Just a fake one.
Just a fake one. Yes. A fake one.
So the thing with the religion, like we were born into a Muslim, but my popsy did not raise us intentionally as Muslims. So I went to Catholic,
You even went to a Christian, alleged Christian school, university.
Went to Christian university as well. Why do you call it alleged?
I'm just messing.
I'm
just messing with you. Please, nobody should come for me.
So it was just an easy, Me, I just wanted to have a relationship with God at the end of the day, whichever way, but this is where I could understand because they spoke English here. Exactly.
Okay, this guy, you're funny.
Yeah.
No, but I remember we had one heated. I remember I used to poke at your religion, your Christianity. I remember when I would just message you and say, this your. I was like, this is your church thing or not. Yeah. But to be honest, like
one time you were a church boy though.
Oh yeah. No, but I had this. So it was after Lumen Christi after I went to Covenant and I failed, right? And I think sometimes as a person, when you hit rock bottom, religion is one of the easiest things to hold on to, right? And I remember there was a point where it was a funny conversation my cousins would have where, Daffy and another of my cousin Chiti, right? They would call me and say, how long would it take for Jakpo to start preaching to you? They'll make a bet.
Damn,
I can't believe that.
That's what was hard on you then, because I'm like, you Christian, did he backslide?
No.
Just to get him back.
No. For me, it was there's something my mom said to me at the time, very sarcastic. She's like, I called her and I was preaching. I said, Jakpo, come. See, now the way you go about religion, like my mom wants to give you speeching, like this time. See the way you go about religion. Now, person when don't give up for life, the whole religion like this. So, religion is not a substitute for hard work. It's not a substitute for doing the needful. And in that moment, it's like my mom, she likes church, but she saw something that like this guy, because he's failed, right? He's now starting to use church as an escape. So my mom was like, dude, like you shouldn't have an escapist relationship with God
or religion.
Do you know what I mean? And so part of what my conversations with you all the time, trying to poke at it, wasn't about anything. It's like, I do believe in God. I do, not as religious, but then for me, it's like, dude, are we walking into this relationship with our eyes wide open?
And I ended up getting to your space.
No, I'm not going to get into that. But like, Salisu, wow, this has been
great, man.
Do you know what I mean? Long overdue.
Great catch up.
That's exactly what it is. You know what I mean?
Yes, as usual.
Obviously, I'm sure you were like, guy, what's this man going to ask me? All that kind of stuff. But
to be like, we always have those long phone calls once in a while.
Yes, of course.
Just,
Rub
our brains together.
No, it's great. It's great. No, but I would just say, man, like, just keep being you, right? Keep being positive. And I know it's not easy. But then, do you know one of the things I've appreciated about today, that aside that we've never really addressed, is the fact that, like, you've let me know that you go through your pains too.
Definitely.
It's not like you are, because part of what my thought process was like, is it that you're not addressing it? Is it that you're pretending like it doesn't exist? But hearing you now, what I learned is that like, you are moving on regardless of the pain.
Yes, you have to.
You have to. It's not about dwelling. It's not about feeling sorry for yourself.
No.
You have to be able to pick up yourself, encourage.
The world is moving.
The world is moving. So, you know what I mean? Like whether you lose everything, because you've lost loved ones, you've lost wealth, you've built businesses, they've crumbled in front of you, but
you keep it moving.
But you've been constant.
And you move.
You learn and you move.
Yeah.
Wow. King Sal. Do you still go by King Sal?
Yes, I'm still the king.
Where did King Sal come from?
Let me tell you where that came from?
Yes, yeah.
It's not even like a random thing. Like I told you, like I got into church as an adult.
Okay.
So most of the things were very intentional. I remember when I joined Koza then, you know, so there's this song they always used to sing in the church. There's a king in you,
right?
You know, by Donald Lawrence,
right?
You know, so I took the song very literal, you know, and I remember one day the pastor preached and he said that God said that we're all kings, you know, so in my mind, I'm like, if you don't want to claim your kingship, I beg, may I take my own crown or change my name then to King Sal, you know, so people just think it's just, you know, like I got that shit from the Bible,
divine,
like,
divine.
My king, the king of kings.
How they say, like, there's a part where they say, like, royal priesthood.
Yes, not even that one. It's when they say he's the king of kings. So if it's just the king, where are the other kings? We are not claiming your own kingship.
Okay,
but these days, when I see other people put king on their IG at the vex, yeah.
This guy, but you just said that's the king of kings.
I have to talk myself and be like, okay, we're all kings. It's okay.
So your first thought is like,
especially my guys. I'm like, but you were not king before. And I'm like, come on.
No, but maybe you accepting your kingdom.
You don't
it's
accept
Oh my God. So yeah, but like I said, we're gonna play a game called the Card of Thoughts.
Okay.
So you're just gonna pick one card, and
am I gonna have time to think?
Nice, of course. Like, this is your own pace.
Okay.
We're moving at your own pace.
From anywhere.
Yes, wherever you can. It doesn't have to be the top. Right. I know you won't pick for the top. Like, you must always do what. Yeah.
I'm gonna go pick the. Oh.
King Sal. This one, you read it out, so it's not a...
This looks like a question that you probably asked me. Yeah. So it says, how do I hold space for others without losing the ground beneath me?
This is so...
Yeah.
This is... Your spirit led you to this question.
Oh, wow.
How do you do that? How do you do that? Because you do that for a lot of people. I know personally.
I try, you know.
But then how do
I do that?
And not...
Because I make it look easy.
You make it too easy. Make it look easy.
Yeah, I make it look easy, but how do I do it? Especially when I'm going through my stuff.
Yeah,
because those are the times.
Yeah.
Because the people won't have any idea that I'm actually dealing at that point in time.
Yeah.
But I see at that point in time, when you're reaching out to me when I'm dealing, I see it as an escape. You know? So at that point in time, I have a moment to escape from wherever I'm dealing with
and just focus also.
And most times when I am maybe advising or giving you advice, because I can't give you solutions.
So you are taking
to
yourself as well.
And they don't understand. And sometimes I get very passionate.
Music come down to
yes. You know, but at that point in time, I am talking to myself as well. And they don't understand it. And I will not tell you.
No, of course. Yes. No, because just to say, like, I remember one time that I came to your house and like there were people in your living room, and then you were telling me what you were going through, and I said, "Do they know?"
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
I was like, "Do they know?" I was like, "Guy," I was just like, "Do they know?" He's like, "No, it doesn't." I was just like, "Dude, like these guys are here, like you're feeding them, you're taking care of everybody's having fun, bro."
Lost that.
Yes. I was just like, "Dude, how are you?" Yeah. And you said to me, I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing here. It's like, Jakpo, like what I'm doing to them doesn't affect what it is that I'm going through.
Yes.
Like, instead, it's even giving me courage to face it. I was just like, bruh.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think I minimize my stuff.
Bro, you do minimize your stuff. That's why I wanted you to. Because when I was telling you, it's like, oh, why you on this podcast? I was like, you don't understand. I guess in life, sometimes it's like we just go through life not thinking about the influence or the impact that like our life decisions or how we go about things affect people.
And another thing, I just thought about this right now. I think when you suffer your greatest loss, some losses are not, are not as weighty as that. No. I've dealt with the biggest loss I feel like I can deal with, which was my mom. You know, so to me,
anything else doesn't measure.
Everything else, though, I might feel it though, but I don't feel you like I felt that one. Yes, that's the truth of the matter.
That's the truth of the matter, because you feel like you felt true pain, and nothing compares.
I didn't think I would come out from that one. Yes, you know.
But
the other ones hit though; they will hit.
But
that
one,
you can even be fixed. That one could not be fixed.
Broken heart.
Exactly.
Broken heart. But then honestly, like I'm sure she's proud of the man that you've become.
Yeah, we're trying.
You're doing amazing.
So
Thank you so much.
I hope that answers this.
No, of course. Thank you so much, King Sal. Thank you
so much for having me.
Bro, like this has been therapeutic. Honestly, for me as well, is you kind of took me down memory lane as well. You put a lot of things into perspective for me, my journey. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would listen. I'm sure a lot of people don't know this side of you. Because you're always like...
I'm always, Saudi happy guy. I always want to call people to chill. Come and have fun, take stuff, go home.
So at least now the world will see a bit more of your depth. Thank you so much, King Sal.
Thank you so much, man.
Hey.